You can't control the world, but you can control what happens in your mind. And the man who disciplines his mind disciplines his destiny. Your future doesn't depend on your conditions. It depends on your decisions. And it starts here, upstairs. Now, most people have never been taught to treat their mind like a garden, but that's what it is, a mental garden. And every single day, you're planting something in it. You're either planting seeds of success or seeds of failure, seeds of courage or seeds of fear, seeds of abundance or seeds of lack. And the garden doesn't care what you plant. It'll grow whatever you allow. If you plant negative thoughts, resentment, worry, doubt, don't be surprised when your life begins to reflect that. It starts small, a little procrastination here, a little bitterness there. But it grows roots, and soon your habits follow. Your attitude shifts, and your results start to rot. But if you plant positive, intentional, purposeful thoughts, watch what happens. You begin to walk taller, speak better, make wiser choices. The energy around you changes. You attract better people. Why? Because you raise the standard of your thinking. Now listen carefully. You don't get what you are. And what you are. And what you are is shaped by what you think every single day. That's the real discipline. Mental discipline. It's easy to dream, but hard to think. It takes zero effort to react, but it takes great effort to respond with wisdom. That's the test of a strong mind. Not how loud it is, but how calm it is in the middle of chaos. So how do you shape your thoughts? Here's where the work begins. You've got to become a student of your own mind. Start asking, what am I feeding it? Because your mind is just like your body. It runs on fuel, and the quality of your input determines the quality of your output. Garbage in, garbage out, excellence in. If you're constantly watching the news, gossiping, listening to negativity, your thoughts will mirror that. You'll live in fear. You'll hesitate instead of take action. You'll expect the worst instead of prepare for the best. But if you flood your mind with books that uplift you, people that inspire you, and habits that challenge you, guess what happens? Your thoughts rise. And when your thoughts rise, you rise. Let me give you a practical strategy. Guard the first hour of your day. Don't give it to social media. Don't give it to emails. Give it to you. Wake up and read something that stretches your mind. Listen to something that fuels your spirit. Think about your goals. Speak something good into your day. Because the first hour sets the tone. It's like planting the first seeds in your garden. Make them good ones. Now another key. Be aware of the silent conversation you have with yourself. Most people are walking around with an invisible enemy. It's their own voice saying things like, I'm not good enough. I'll probably fail. It never works for me. And here's the scary part. That voice becomes a prophecy. Your subconscious listens, and it obeys. So here's the shift. Start speaking the truth, not the fear. Say things like, I am capable. I'm getting better. I may not be there yet, but I'm on my way. These aren't just affirmations. They're instructions to your brain. And over time, your mind starts aligning with your words. Now remember, discipline doesn't happen in a day. It's a daily choice. And mental discipline is like going to the gym for your thoughts. You don't just lift once, you lift consistently. So feed your mind daily. Protect your attitude. Monitor your emotions. Catch the weeds early before they grow deep. It's easier to pull out a weed when it's small than after it's become a tree. Let me leave you with this. Change your thoughts and you'll change your emotions. Change your emotions and you'll change your decisions. Change your decisions and you'll change your destiny. But it all starts with one quiet, powerful decision to discipline your mind. That's where your future begins. You see, life will throw things at you. Disappointment, delay, criticism, betrayal. It's part of the human experience. You can't escape it. But here's the difference between the successful and the stuck. Those who win have learned how to discipline their emotional responses. They don't react. They respond. And that, my friend, is one of the greatest powers a human being can develop. Emotional control. Emotional. Now, I'm not talking about becoming cold or robotic. No, emotions are a gift. They're signals. They let us feel love, joy, conviction, even healthy pain. But here's the truth. You are not your emotions. You are the master of them. Undisciplined emotions, they'll drain your energy, break your focus, wreck your relationships, sabotage your future. You know someone like that. Always angry, always offended. And what happens? Every time life shakes them, they fall apart. But disciplined emotions, that's where the magic starts. You get clarity. You make stronger decisions. You take action with wisdom, not impulse. You become a leader, not just of others, but of yourself. Let me give you a picture. Emotions are like wild horses. Powerful, beautiful, but dangerous if they're not trained. If you let them run wild, they'll destroy the field. But if you put a skilled rider on their back, now you've got controlled power. Now you've got momentum that can build something. That rider, my friend, is discipline. Here's the truth most people don't want to hear. Your emotions don't need to be fixed. They need to be led. People try to feel better all the time. Wrong goal. You don't always need to feel better. You need to think better. And when you think better, you'll eventually feel better. Let me show you how this works in real life. Let's say you're angry. Someone says something unfair, or you lose a deal, or life doesn't go your way. What's the default reaction? Lash out, complain, post something dramatic, throw away an opportunity. But if you've trained your emotional discipline, here's what you do instead. Pause, breathe, think, then speak. That pause alone, that space between stimulus and response, that's the gap where your life gets shaped. In that moment, you ask, what's really going on here? Am I reacting or responding? Will this decision move me forward or trap me in regret? That's emotional maturity. And emotional maturity is rare because it takes work. See, most people never practice controlling their emotions. They practice being controlled by them. Every day, they reinforce the habit of reacting emotionally. And you know what we call repeated emotional reactions? A temperament, a personality. Oh, he's just like that. Talk about another emotion, fear. Fear is natural. Fear is protective, but fear undisciplined becomes a prison. People miss opportunities not because they aren't capable, but because fear said, what if I fail? And they listened. You've got to discipline fear. You've got to say, yes, I feel it, but no, it won't run me. It'll eliminate fear. Lead it. It's okay to grieve. It's okay to process. But discipline says, I will not stay in the valley longer than I must. Discipline says, my emotions can visit, but they don't get to move in. Let me give you a rule to live by. Feel the emotion. Don't follow it blindly. Now, how do you build emotional control? Simple, not easy. Awareness, you can't manage what you don't recognize. Start noticing your patterns. What triggers you? What derails your mood? What environments or people make you reactive? Routines build daily practices that keep your emotions grounded. Morning reflection. Gratitude journaling. Leader, the quiet time. Exercise. When your routines are strong, your reactions become stable. Reflection after an emotional moment. Go back and ask, did I control that situation or did it control me? That's how you grow. Not by perfection, but by awareness and adjustment. Mentors and models watch how wise people handle pressure. How do they stay composed? What language do they use? How do they keep their dignity? Learn from those who walk in strength. Remember, emotional discipline isn't about suppressing how you feel. It's about deciding what leads. And you know what leads when your emotions don't? Principles, values, decisions made in advance. You decide in peace how you'll act in chaos. That's discipline. So when life gets hard, and it will, don't just scream at the wind. Don't break your own structure. Don't throw away your future for 5 minutes of fury or panic. Instead, stand up straight, breathe deep, think clearly, and lead yourself before you try to lead anyone else. Because at the end of the day, the strongest person in the room isn't the loudest. It's the one who's mastered their own emotions. People want a strong mind, but they don't want the process that builds one. They want confidence without struggle. Focus without training. Mastery without practice. It doesn't work that way. Let me give you the truth. Your mind is a muscle. And like any muscle, it doesn't grow through desire. It grows through use. Repeated use. You don't get mentally strong by wanting to be. You get there by doing small, consistent reps. Mental reps. Let me ask you this. If you went to the gym once a month and lifted a few weights, would you expect to be in great shape? Of course not. You'd laugh at the idea, but that's exactly what most people do with their mindset. They read one good book in January, they write a few goals in a notebook, and then they wonder why nothing changes. Here's why. Their inconsistency kills momentum. You want a disciplined mind, then do the reps. Read the book every day, not just once. Speak affirmations every morning, not just when you feel inspired. Visualize your goals consistently, not just when you're in the mood. That's how you build strength upstairs, one disciplined repetition at a time. Let me tell you a little story. I once met a young man who said, "I want to be confident. I want to have discipline like you. What's the secret?" I said, "There is no secret. There's just repetition. You've got to say no to the wrong things 100 times before it becomes natural. You've got to wake up early 100 times before it becomes easy. You've got to speak the truth to yourself 1,000 times before your brain starts believing it. Repetition is what creates belief, not wishful thinking, not motivation, not even talent, but repetition. You repeat discipline long enough, and your brain rewires itself. It starts to believe that's who you really are. It starts saying, we don't skip workouts. We don't procrastinate. We don't fold under pressure. That's not us anymore. You change your identity through action repeated. That's the pathway. But here's where it gets powerful. You don't need to do huge things every day. Small disciplines done daily build massive results over time. It's not about the size of the action. It's about the consistency of it. Do 5 minutes of focused reading every morning. That's a rep. Say no to one temptation a day. That's a rep. Reflect on your behavior for 10 minutes every night. The rep. You start stringing those reps together, and suddenly your mind becomes sharper, stronger, more focused, more grounded, and most importantly, more prepared. Because life isn't going to warn you when the storm hits. It won't give you a heads up before pressure comes. So you've got to train your mind before you need it. That's what repetition does. It prepares you. Look at the greatest athletes, performers, thinkers. What do they all have in common? Repetition. Not talent, not luck, not comfort, just consistent discipline day after day. Now here's a question. What are you repeating that's either building you or breaking you? Because repetition is neutral. You can repeat strength-building actions, or you can repeat weakness-reinforcing habits. If you're constantly telling yourself, "I can't," that's a rep. If you always choose comfort over challenge, that's a rep. If you say, "I'll do it tomorrow every time," that's a rep. And those reps are building a version of you you may not like. So what do? You reverse it. Start giving yourself new reps. Start choosing the hard thing on purpose. Start replacing every negative word with something strong. Start acting like the person you want to become, not once, but daily. And then keep doing it. Because the moment you stop training the mind, the old patterns come back. The weeds grow again. That's how life works. It punishes inconsistency, and it rewards persistence. So if you want to build a mind of discipline, here's the formula. Small positive actions done with high intent, repeated over time, measured by who you're becoming, that's it. Mental discipline isn't a mystery. It's a muscle. And your job is to work it every day. Your focus is your future, not your background, not your age, not your environment, not even your education. Your ability to focus, really focus, is the deciding factor in how far you go. And that's why you got to guard your focus like a treasure. Because it is. It's more valuable than gold. You can always earn back lost money. But if you lose focus, if you live distracted, you lose time. You lose opportunity. You lose momentum. And time lost is life lost. Now here's the problem in today's world. Everything is fighting for your focus. Your phone, your inbox, notifications, news, social media, ads, all of it is trying to hijack your attention. And if you're not careful, you'll give it away cheap, just like that. But here's the thing. Successful people protect their focus. They understand that whatever gets your attention eventually gets your energy. And whatever gets your energy eventually gets your results. Focus isn't just about doing something. It's about doing the right thing with all your mind. And that takes discipline. Now here's a big misunderstanding. Most people think discipline means waking up at 5 a.m. and grinding 18 hours a day. But real discipline? It's quieter than that, more powerful than that. Real discipline is saying no. No to distractions, no to noise. No to what looks urgent but isn't important. No to things that pull you away from your vision, even if they feel good in the moment. Let me tell you something. You can't do big things with a scattered mind. You've got to zoom in. Lock in, turn off the background noise and go deep. Focus is like a magnifying glass. Hold it steady under the sun and it burns through anything. Move it around every second and you'll never see a spark. That's what undisciplined people do. They move their focus around so much they never catch fire. One day they're starting a new business. Next week they're binge watching a show. Next month they're inspired to start writing. 2 weeks later they're burned out again. No consistency, no direction, no clarity. Why? Because they've never trained themselves to protect their focus. Now let me give you some practical steps. Things you can do today to sharpen your focus. Small blue diamond one. Create boundaries for your attention. That means time blocks. That means turning your phone on airplane mode for a few hours. That means letting people know, this time is for my goals. This time is sacred. Because if you don't control your schedule, someone else will. Small blue diamond 2. Eliminate the small distractions. You don't need to answer every notification. You don't need to scroll just because you're bored. You don't need to check the news 10 times a day. Every little distraction is costing you more than you realize. It's not just the time you spend, it's the mental reset it takes to get back in the zone. Some studies say it takes 20 minutes to refocus after a small distraction. Do that 5 times a day and you've just thrown away your edge. Small blue diamond 3. Focus on fewer things, but do them better. Most people are juggling too much. Too many goals, too many projects, too many commitments. They don't need more time. They need more focus. You don't need 5 big goals. You need 1 or 2 that matter. And you give them everything. That's the secret. Depth over width. Mastery over multitasking. Small blue diamond 4. Start your day with intention. Don't let the world set the tone for your day. Before you check your phone, ask yourself, what is the one thing I must get done today that moves my vision forward? Write it down. Say it out loud. And then protect your time around it like it's gold, because it is. Now let me remind you, focus is fragile. You have to guard it every day. 1 careless hour turns into a wasted day. 1 wasted day becomes a habit. And habits build your life. So here's what you do. You become the gatekeeper of your mind. You don't allow just anything in. You don't scroll endlessly. You don't say yes to every request. You don't let people dump their drama into your mental space. You protect the gates. Because what gets inside shapes your thoughts, and your thoughts, as we've said, shape your reality. Let me leave you with this. A person who learns to focus in a distracted world becomes unstoppable. Not because they're more talented, but because they're more present. They show up, they lock in, they execute, and in the end, life doesn't reward the scattered. It rewards the... You'll guard your focus like a treasure, because it is. Most people don't realize this. They treat their words casually, carelessly, like they don't matter. But I'll tell you, words are powerful. Words start wars. Words build empires. Words destroy confidence or they build it. Words are the tool of the disciplined mind or the weapon of the undisciplined one. So here's the principle. Speak with intention. Not emotion, not impulse, not habit. Intention. The disciplined person doesn't just think before they act. They think before they speak. Why is this important? Because your words don't just communicate with others. They communicate with you. Every time you say something, you're not just giving information. You're reinforcing identity. You're telling your mind what to believe. You're giving your subconscious direction. And let me tell you, your subconscious is always listening. It doesn't judge. It doesn't filter. It just takes orders. So if you're always saying things like, I can't, I'm tired, I'm broke, I'm just not lucky. This always happens to me. Guess what? You're reinforcing those realities. You're giving your subconscious instructions, and it goes to work fulfilling them. But if you flip the script, if you start speaking with intention, with purpose, with discipline, you start creating a new internal world. And eventually that changes your external world, too. Let me give you an example. Suppose you wake up and say, this is going to be a tough day. Well, you've just set the tone. You've told your brain what to expect. You'll now filter everything through that belief. But what if you woke up and said, today I'm ready. I will handle whatever comes. I'm grateful for this opportunity to grow. That's a different tone, a different seed, a different outcome. Words are powerful because they form patterns, and patterns shape behavior. That's why the discipline of speech is not optional. It's essential. The person who's sloppy with their words is usually sloppy with their habits, their time, and their thinking. But the person who speaks with clarity usually lives with clarity. So what does it mean to speak with intention? It means you think about impact before you open your mouth. You ask, is what I'm about to say true? Is it helpful? Does it align with the person I'm becoming? Let me give you 4 areas where this principle applies powerfully. Small blue diamond 1. The way you speak to yourself, the internal dialogue, is the starting point of all discipline. Every time you speak to yourself, you're either programming strength or weakness, so start saying things like, I've got what it takes. I don't quit on myself. I am learning. I am growing. I am becoming. This isn't fluff. This is training. Training your identity. Training your discipline. You speak the future before you see it. Small blue diamond 2. The way you speak to others, disciplined people don't just control what they say. They control how they say it. They speak with respect, even when they disagree. They speak clearly because they value people's time. They speak truthfully because they value integrity over approval. And they speak less, not more, because they understand that wisdom is often quiet. Small blue diamond 3. The way you speak in public, let's talk about presence. If you want to lead, inspire, teach, or influence, your words matter. You don't need to be loud, but you do need to be intentional. A disciplined mind produces disciplined speech. That means no filler, no drama, no overpromising, no a kinda or maybe. It means, here's what I mean. Here's what I'll do. Clarity is confidence. Vagueness is weakness. Small blue diamond 4. The way you speak when you're under pressure, this is where your training shows. When the pressure's on, the real you comes out. Undisciplined minds speak in panic, blame, or excuse. Disciplined minds speak with control. They stay calm. They ask good questions. They speak to solve, not to shout. If you can control your tongue when your emotions are hot, you're dangerous in the best way. Now here's something to remember. Every word you speak is either building something or breaking something, or breaking something. There are no neutral words, so start being intentional. Don't let your mouth betray your goals, and don't wait for motivation to speak well. Speak well to generate motivation, because your words are not just a reflection of your reality. They are the tools that shape it. Want a better life? Start with better language. Let me leave you with this. Your mind becomes what it hears consistently, and your words are the soundtrack. So speak wisely, speak boldly, speak with discipline, because your future is listening. That's the missing key for most people. They're trying to force the body to act right, but their mind is still thinking wrong. They're working hard on discipline at the behavior level, but discipline starts much earlier at the thinking level. The mind leads, the body follows. If your thoughts are weak, your actions will be inconsistent. If your beliefs are scattered, your routines will be short-lived. If your inner world is undisciplined, your outer world will always be in chaos. That's how it works. Now here's where it gets real. People say, I just can't stick to the plan. I can't stay motivated. I keep falling off track. Why? Because they're trying to drag a lazy mind through disciplined routines. That's like tying a wild horse to a wagon and hoping it doesn't crash into a wall. Discipline starts in the chair. Before you ever go to the gym, sit at the desk, or make the call. It starts in the quiet moments, when no one's watching, when it's just you, your thoughts, and your intentions. That's where the decision is made. That's when you say, this is who I am now. Not tomorrow. Not when it's easier. Not when motivation shows up. Now, let me tell you something profound, and I hope it sticks with you. The body is a servant, but the mind is the master. Whatever the mind truly believes and commands, the body will eventually obey. Maybe not instantly, but certainly over time. If you see yourself as a disciplined, focus-driven person, your actions will begin to line up. But if deep down you still see yourself as lazy, weak, or unreliable, then no matter how many checklists you create, you'll eventually self-sabotage. Identity drives behavior, and identity is formed in the mind. So, how do we discipline the mind first? It begins with what I call the inner declaration. You decide deep within what kind of person you are becoming, not based on your past, not based on your failures, but based on the vision you have for your future. You say, I am the kind of person who finishes what I start. I do hard things without excuses. I don't negotiate with weakness. We show up whether I feel like it or not. That's mental leadership. That's self-command. And that command trains your body, it trains your discipline, forms the habits that eventually change your life. Let me give you an example. Ever try to get up early and hit the gym? It's cold. You're tired, your body says no. But if your mind is undisciplined, you'll agree. You'll rationalize, you'll say, just this once. But if your mind has been trained, if it has made the decision in advance, it will say, we don't skip, get up. And your body, like a trained soldier, will obey the command. It won't like it, but it will move. And when that happens, you're becoming dangerous. Now the results begin to compound. Now discipline is no longer something you force, it becomes who you are. And here's the magic. The more your mind leads, the stronger your body gets. Physically, yes, but also emotionally, mentally, spiritually. You begin to trust yourself. You start stacking victories. You build what I call self-respect through self-command. Because nothing feels better than knowing you can rely on you. That's the goal. Not perfection, not hype, not chasing motivation all the time. The goal is trust. And when it's time to act, you don't freeze, quit, or fold. You follow through because the mind already made the decision before the body was ever asked to move. Now, here's a warning. You'll be tempted to start with actions to change the outside, to force discipline by brute effort. That works for a little while. But if you don't change what's driving the behavior, you'll burn out. Or quit. Or worse, you'll succeed at the wrong thing and wonder why you're still unfulfilled. So always start here, discipline the mind. And how do you do that? By feeding it truth daily. By replacing negative loops with purposeful affirmations. By deciding who you are before the world tells you otherwise. By keeping promises to yourself, even small ones. By choosing what's right over what's easy. Every time you do that, the mind gets sharper, more focused, more resilient. And eventually you stop trying to be disciplined. You become it. That's the goal. Because when the mind is strong, the body follows, the actions follow, the life follows. Discipline doesn't start with the calendar, it starts with the command. And you're the one who gives it.